Hi YouTube. Well, as you see here on this headline, that all ambassadors called back to Washington, and there's a little pretty map there, as you see, from what countries, and we're talking about 180 countries where 260 embassy, consulates and other posts is expected to convene at the State Department for what is being billed as the first meeting of its kind. The HuffingtonPost.com says that Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton is convening an unprecedented mass meeting of U.S. ambassadors. From the U.S. State Department website press release 1st of February, Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton convened the first ever Global Chiefs of Mission Conference. This will be the first time U.S. ambassadors will gather from around the world simultaneously. The first logical thought that comes to mind, looking back at all the previous world crises that might now be so important, evidently more so than anything ever in the past, to call all ambassadors back from Washington. And why has the press not reported on such an unusual event, involving every U.S. diplomatic ambassador in the world? The sky's the limit with ideas and conspiracy. So to get the story straight ahead of time for something, to pre-arrange settlings, the debt score between nations prior to a new world currency rollout, a dollar currency devaluation, China is calling in our debt, new severely damaging WikiLeaks about to release, afraid of electronic communications leaks of something very important to discuss. Well, it says here, while most Americans were involved with the Super Bowl and the mainstream media with the situation in Egypt, hardly anyone is reporting on the event. Find time to do something under the radar. Could this actually be simply the first time of such gathering to discuss normal business? At first instinct, suspicion is aroused. Stay tuned. Well, I've been doing some videos about pole shift and a comet called Elenin, and now we also have the PN9 coming in. It still leads me back to the movie called Deep Impact, that Morgan Freeman on his press conference is talking as he is to the world press, or the press of America, and he is also informing them that every other country is doing the same, telling the same story. So I seriously question that this has anything to do with prearrange the settling the debt score between nations prior to a new world currency rollout, a dollar currency devaluation, and so on. China is calling in our debt. That really don't ring any bell in me. I don't think it's the time for that. I think a calamity of a comet impact would already bring this about because of the massive destruction that will create. And we will kind of be reset, and then they will come up with a perfect little solution. So maybe they are kind of tractoring or tractor beam this object PN9, or maybe a fragment from the comet Elenin, to strike the Atlantic Sea outside the west coast of Africa, as Nostradamus was talking about, as St. Hildebrand was talking about, as Doyle was talking about, and Mother Shipton. So that could be a strong possibility that that is actually the reason for why they are calling home all ambassadors, and not just a handful. We're talking all of them, from 180 countries, people. You don't feel or smell the fish is stinky here? This is unprecedented. Very, very unprecedented. So it is up to you out there to determine what is going on with this. I have my suspicion, I already shared it with you. this has something to do with a national and worldwide disaster. And it is, if you go watch the movie, I think I shared with you all, so if you go back in your inbox and check up on it, that should be a mail from me with a show called Deep Impact of 8 episodes, and I think it would be advisable to pay very much attention to that movie. Pay attention to that is a black president. Pay attention to what he is actually informing, and he is also effectively putting in martial law. And I must admit that would be necessary in case of a comet strike in the Atlantic Ocean to bring in a martial law, because that will hit hard on the eastport of America, very hard. So go watch that show if you haven't done it already, or maybe you should watch it twice, maybe you missed something, but that thing has, ever since I saw that movie, why are they making that movie? And it's an old movie, and I've always been wondering about why are they making such a movie. And now we also got the 2012, and as I explained in the former video, it is actually possible for an asteroid impact to tip the Earth in another direction of its axis. It is actually possible. The Earth is not that stable as we are led to believe. Actually, we are very fragile. And actually, Earth is weightless out in space. So you can imagine a little push could actually alter the direction of our axis. And that could give all kinds of calamities. It could give some nasty superstorms. It could also plunge most of the world as we know it into an instant ice age, as we see in the movie The Day After Tomorrow. But I guess all bets are open yet to see what's up with this ambassador call-in. And it is all of them, 260 from 180 countries. So you can ponder a little about that and see what you can sniff off of info. But the initial story about the dollar and about China and so on, as you see there, I don't believe that. Something major is up. You don't call all your ambassadors home instantly for something about a dollar currency devaluation. Come on. Come on. Can't be. So see what you can find out there of info regarding this.